Hey, I'm Mike. So it's been a bit. I moved 500 miles, but I'm settled. And over the last week since I got settled, I decided to implement something that I think is pretty cool, which is Blender integration for TwinSync Studio. So I just wanted to show that to you guys and talk a bit about it. But before we get started, I also want to say that I am going to be doing a live stream this Wednesday. I know it's really soon, but hopefully there'll be more of these. 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time this Wednesday. That's June 18th, 2025. So if I just go over here, here's the Discord. So there will be a link to it in however you see this video, probably in the description. So yeah, come join me. I will probably try to program, work. If obviously if there are people, I think I'm just going to be consumed with questions. But I'm going to be trying to like talk about some of the stuff I'm doing and work on some of the things that actually you'll see here today, trying to make them bring them to the release level that I need. So okay, without any further ado, I'm here in TwinSync Studio. This is the dev version, so it's my personal copy that I do experiments in. So if I go to, I'm going to load a file here. I'm going to look at my classic construction data. And what I want to do is use this Blender integration. And I didn't even mention, but not only did I add Blender integration, but I actually added some AI here. So if you don't want to, write a Python script to tell Blender what to do, you can have the AI do that for you, which is awesome. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here, go to the Blender section, and I'm going to use Blender AI Edit instead of Script Edit. Script Edit would let you provide your own script. In my case, I'm going to have the AI generate the script for me from a prompt. So I'm just going to connect the geometry, which is a new thing that you can now pass in the process instance function. And I'm just going to give it a prompt. So, you do have to know a little bit about Blender probably to describe this stuff, but maybe not a ton. I haven't really experimented with it from a perspective of someone that hasn't used much Blender before. But in our case, we just are going to tell it to do a couple things. Basically, just tell it to first weld any sharp corners, which are going to, in the iTwin mesh, are going to be separate, and therefore you can't use the decimate modifier on them. And then we're just going to say decimate this mesh. So, there is decimate support also in the other quick export, but this will give you some more control and you can do whatever you want with it in Blender basically. Okay, so with that said, I'm not going to change the Blender path because the default is just to use the installed Blender as long as it's in the standard location. If not, maybe you have to use your own. But I'm just going to say add a weld modifier, so that's going to take care of those vertices that aren't truly connected. Add a weld modifier and apply it. And then I'm going to say add a decimation modifier with an angle of 10, and the AI is going to figure out which decimation mode you need for that angle and also add that angle to it. So add that modifier and apply it. Okay, great. So this is really all I need. This is a really simple one. Otherwise, I would have loaded a script. I don't want this to be overly complicated anyway. But yeah, now that that's done, it's going to pipe this geometry. It's going to be a little bit slower than the normal export because it actually has to send everything to Blender every time it wants to export a mesh. But it's pretty reasonable, I think, for what it is. So with that said, I'm just going to hit export. Looks like I had a couple tests earlier. And while that's running, I'm going to go ahead and open Unreal Engine. Okay, it's finishing up. So if I go back to... All right, yeah, it just finished. Great. Okay, so now what we can do is we can take a look or import it in Unreal and see that it's decimated. I didn't decimate it too harshly, but I'll still show you that it's definitely decimated by having us take a look here. We're going to import this. So obviously, if you're not familiar with what decimation is, it means to break something down into a smaller representation. In this case, basically the vertices are going to be broken. And I did it by angle, which means that it preserves the shape for the most part. And so you can see that these trees now have these weird sharp edges because they are now, they still have like an angle to them, but they are no longer the ones that we have in TwinSync Studio, where if I go to the schedule where that's showing, here they're very smooth because they are actually very dense. They actually have 15,000 triangles. But here, if we open it up, especially in Unreal, there's a lot less. What does it say? How many? 2,000 triangles. Okay, great. So it actually reports that to us here. I don't know if you can read that on the quality that I'm recording this at, but you might be able to see this yellow line here where definitely the ones inside TwinSync Studio are way smaller in the original Synchro data. So yeah, it's decimated it for us, and you can also use the if statement in TwinSync Studio to choose which meshes to decimate, and then you'll also have a way faster you'll have like a way faster export if you're not running it on everything or not invoking Blender on everything. And I guess I will just briefly, I'm not going to actually run it, but if you add an if statement and say, okay, let's check, like, is the vertex count comparison here do greater than 1,000? So that'll include these trees, but it won't include something like these windows, which have like 12. I didn't actually check the vertices. Oh, I don't actually have it listed here. There are 12 triangles, but that's definitely, that's only 36 vertices. So definitely not going to reach this. But yeah, so if I go through here and I say, okay, then we're going to do the Blender AI edit. Otherwise, whoops, let me do, so I'm just going to set up a separate return in the else case. And I'm going to say, so we're going to keep the same cluster ID for everything, but if we are returning, and let me set the output file to match. Yeah, so basically just get this geometry. This is just a reference, so you can go to get parameters and do get geometry here. That's how you generate this node. But yeah, so basically just get the geometry that we had originally, not the one from Blender. And oops, let me, you know what? I'm gonna use this guy here, just so that that line isn't confusing. Okay, there we go. I could also use a separate node cluster ID if I want to make things prettier, but whatever. The point is now it would be deciding on the vertex count whether it should decimate it through Blender. But yeah, it the AI generated and cached this code for me. One thing that I guess I would mention is I actually considered using the MCP server that someone set up for Blender, and it was definitely cool. I tried it out, but it is super duper slow, especially if you're doing this to like 3,000 meshes, like in this case. If you go and ask the AI and like send a web request for every single, individual mesh and tell it to do stuff. So I took the approach that I would just ask, or I would take this prompt that you give it and generate a script from it, and then just feed that to Blender, cache that script, and rerun that script without invoking the AI again for each time that this node gets reached. So yeah, so with that done, you're able to do things, and there's probably way more interesting things that you can do with the Blender script. You could add, like, there's lots of stuff. So maybe I should open Blender here. This is obviously a super bad example, but if I moved some stuff around or whatever to get things different, you can apply whatever modifiers you want and do other things. Well, anything's possible. You can use geometry nodes. Like if you have a cool geometry node script, you can just ask the AI or write your own script to use that. So I just think it's really cool that you can integrate them really well. And probably it opens up a lot of things that might even, make me consider other ways of making TwinSync Studio work, like having a more direct access to the underlying stuff while still keeping the Unreal Engine generation. But yeah, lots of possibilities. Right now, I think this is the most convenient way to do it. So that's the way I did it. And I just kind of want to show, like, you could remesh, for example. So this is probably a bad example, but if you wanted to turn everything Minecrafty, then that's an example, something that's really easy to do, or like, voxelize things. But yeah, so lots of effects that you can apply and different things, and probably just asset libraries. You can ask the AI to just like insert assets or like populate things with grass, whatever. You figure that out. The point is that they're integrated now. So yeah, I think this stuff's pretty cool. If you have any questions, come reach out on the live stream. And in general, feel free to join the Discord. And I have a lot of updates coming up because the demo period is coming to a close very soon. So I will have some updates about that as well. But hope you like this. Let me know if it's something that you're interested in, or if not, I know there are a couple bugs that I do plan to work on as well. Just trying to find the right time to do those. And I thought this would be something quick that I could get out of the way right now. But yeah, thank you so much.